Today is Wednesday, September 25th. This is Noreen Johnson, and here are the good news headlines of the day. Arizona Independent Senator Kristen Sinema criticized Vice President Kamala Harris after the presidential nominee voiced her support for eliminating the Senate filibuster in an effort to pass a law restoring abortion protections nationwide. Senator Joe Manchin, a strong supporter of the filibuster, echoed Sinema's comments, saying that the filibuster is the holy grail of democracy. Shame on her, Manchin said at the Capitol, according to CNN. She knows the filibuster is the holy grail of democracy. It's the only thing that keeps us talking and working together. If she gets rid of that, then this would be the House on steroids. Harris, who has made abortion access a central issue in her campaign, said in 2022 that Congress needed to codify Roe v. Wade into law and, quote, if the filibuster gets in the way, the Senate needs to make an exception to get it done. Harris said this as well. With just 2 more seats in the Senate, we can codify Roe v. Wade. We can put the protection of Roe into law. Democrats would need to maintain control of the Senate to change rules affecting the filibuster. Former President Donald Trump slammed Vice President Kamala Harris Tuesday after it was reported that the Democratic nominee intends to visit the U.S. southern border later this week. CNN reported on Monday that Harris will visit the U.S.-Mexico border during a campaign stop in Arizona Friday as her opponent continues to focus on illegal immigration and the record number of border encounters under the Biden-Harris administration. Trump blasted Harris's plan in a Truth Social post, saying it's a disgrace that the vice president waited so long. Trump wrote this on his Truth Social. She's trying to con the public like she did a good job at the border when in fact she has destroyed the very fabric of our nation, allowing 21 million people in from places unknown. The Democratic nominee's visit to the southern border was set up after some of her campaign officials expressed concern about her polling on the issue of immigration, according to CNN. An Associated Press poll released last month shows that Trump is trusted by 45% of voters on immigration compared to 38% who trust Harris more. CNN contributor Scott Jennings argued Monday that Harris's plan to visit the border is not going to change how voters view her on immigration. And then this, in the weeks following the nearly back-to-back assassination attempts against former President Donald Trump, the Senate unanimously passed bipartisan legislation that would boost Secret Service protection to major presidential candidates. Senator Tim Scott and Senator Rick Scott introduced the Protect Our President Act, which will enhance U.S. Secret Service protection for presidential nominees to the same level currently provided for a sitting president. However, a nominee is free to decline this. It would additionally extend that presidential level protection to vice presidential nominees, in this case to Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz. In a press release, Senator John Barrasso said this: our nation has witnessed 2 horrifying assassination attempts on President Trump. We were merely inches away from a catastrophic event that would have changed the course of history. This cannot happen again. The Protect Our Presidents Act will ensure all presidential nominees receive the same level of protection provided to the president. This will give law enforcement the resources they need to keep President Trump and all of the candidates safe. In other news, Chicago gang members and ex-convicts are warning of coming violent turf wars with newly arrived Venezuelan migrants who are part of the notorious gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA. Not unlike other cities across the country, Chicago has been inundated with migrants as the border crisis rages on. Since 2022, an estimated 48,000 migrants have come to the city, with the majority of new migrant arrivals hailing from Venezuela. Tyrone Muhammad, an ex-con and former gang member, told the New York Post that when the black gangs here get fed up with the illegalities and criminal activities of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in flames, and there will be nothing the National Guard or the government can do about it when the bloodshed hits the streets. Members of TDA are taking over Chicago turf, residents said. They're also receiving robust welfare benefits, further angering residents and gang members who say the money should be going to Chicago citizens who are suffering. Residents say TDA gang members and other migrants are flooding their shelters, increasingly taking up apartments and displacing Chicago residents. The displacement of residents is happening elsewhere too, like in Springfield, Ohio. There, Haitian migrants who are subsidized by taxpayers are sometimes paying $3,000 a month in rent, which citizens can't afford to pay. And then today, September 25th, marks the feast day of St. Herman Contractus, also known as Herman the Cripple. His teachings were famous, and students came from all over Europe to learn from him. He was a mathematician, astronomer, and poet. He composed the Salve Regina and Alma Redemptoris Mater, both in praise of the Virgin Mary. St. Herman, pray for us. And those are your daily good news headlines. This is Catholics for Catholics. May God bless you, and may God bless the USA.